Good afternoon. It's JC, St. Louis's oldest living hippie, bringing you an article from Mother Jones about something that's so fucking stupid and unnecessary and unimportant, but yet also very important. The font Calibri. It's a font in the um, list of standard fonts that come with any printer you buy and that are supported by any computer you own. And here's the masthead. Rubio ends State Department use of Calibri, calling font wasteful DEI move. DEI move, in other words, when whenever something gets done to hurt DEI, it just makes me mad as hell. And I have to yell and rant about it because, as I mentioned before, the University of Missouri, where I graduated from 52 years ago, eliminated their DEI department so that they could keep their funding because they're so damned afraid of the Trump administration. Fuck the University of Missouri. I have no respect for you, and I have no respect for the president whom I met and spoke with at a meeting 2 years ago for allowing this to happen to the University of Missouri. But now the Secretary of State, who's a real idiot, Rubio, I think, was it Marco Rubio or whatever his first name is? Rubio is so worried about DEI that he thinks that it's important to have a small thing like a font changed to spite the DEI movement. Okay, I'm going to read this to you slowly. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has identified a new enemy, Calibri. According to multiple reports, Rubio has ordered diplomats to stop using the font, a wasteful DEIA program from the Biden era, he called it, and return to Times New Roman in official communications. The change follows a memo seen by Reuters and the New York Times entitled Return to Tradition. Times New Roman, a 14-point font required for all department paper, which called Calibri informal. Returning to New Times Roman, the memo wrote, would restore decorum and professionalism to the department's written work. The State Department has been using Times New Roman since 2004. In January 2023, the Secretary of State Antony Blinken adopted Calibri after the typeface was recommended by his Diversity and Inclusion Office to improve accessibility for staff, including those with disabilities like dyslexia or low vision, or people who use assistive technology like screen readers. I worked with a person who was legally blind and had to use a screen reader in order to be able to do his work on the computer that he was provided. Okay, when he asked about why the State Department was spending time changing fonts, and that's just a waste of time and money, is what it is, amid languishing peace talks in Ukraine and Israel's continuing ceasefire violations in Gaza, a spokesman told Mother Jones that the switch was necessary to align with the same dignity, consistency, and formality of the standard fonts used in courts, legislatures, and across federal agencies where the permanence and authority of the written record are paramount. The spokesperson also noted that starting Wednesday, all papers submitted to the Executive Secretariat, which is responsible for coordinating internal communications in the Department of State, must use Times New Roman 14-point. Rubio has since removed this department's Diversity and Inclusion Office as part of a broader move by the Trump administration to eliminate diversity policies in federal government and universities. They want to make life harder on disabled individuals. The person I was working with told me a story that I think is very relevant, and then I'll stop because this is already 5 minutes. But he told me one thing about having blindness is that when you walk down the sidewalk, which he would walk from his apartment to the bus stop, um, if the trees are not trimmed over the sidewalk, you tend to get slapped in the face with the limbs because you can't see where you're walking. You're using your cane and you're going by the touch and the sensitivity you feel through the cane to know where you're at and where you're going and what you're doing and when you get there. And I thought it was interesting. Nobody ever thought about the fact that the trees not being trimmed could affect a blind person walking down the sidewalk. Well, it can. Okay. So DEI is so much not enough for people with disabilities and people who are disadvantaged that it's not even funny, yet they want to destroy it. So fuck you, Rubio. Fuck you, Trump. This is JC, St. Louis's oldest living hippie, saying, Pox and more, Jack. Keep on trucking.